Lauren Stokes had one rule: never let fear make your decisions. But when she saw her ex's shadow in the alley, she broke it. The black BMW's rear door was open. She dove inside. One wrong car, and everything changed. Her lungs burned. The leather seat beneath her fingers felt too expensive. Her eyes snapped open, not to safety, but to Seoul streets blurring past at a speed that made her stomach drop. This wasn't a taxi. Panic shot through her like ice water. She was still in her work blazer, rumpled and heaving. Her hand found the overhead grab handle, knuckles white. The car was immaculate. Blacked-out windows. A dashboard glowing with foreign controls. Everything screamed danger. Then her eyes found the rearview mirror. The driver's gaze, dark, cold, predatory, locked on her for 1 second before returning to the road. The door locks clicked. All four. Soft. Final. Lauren's stomach lurched as the car suddenly decelerated, the engine's roar dropping to a predatory purr. The neon blur vanished, replaced by concrete walls closing in on both sides. An underpass. Abandoned. The kind of place where screams disappeared into shadows. The car rolled to a stop, and the sudden stillness was worse than the speed. At least motion meant direction. This was a pause with purpose. Her breath fogged the window beside her face. The driver's hands remained on the wheel, steady, controlled, like the chase had been nothing. Then his shoulders shifted, and he began to turn. Lauren pressed herself against the door, her left hand scrabbling for the handle. Locked. He turned fully, draping one arm over the back of his seat. The dim light caught his face, and her heart hammered so hard she thought her ribs might crack. Younger than she expected. Late 20s, maybe early 30s. Sharp features carved by someone who understood cruelty and control in equal measure. Black hair slicked back perfectly, not a strand disturbed despite the violence of the drive. His suit was immaculate, monochromatic black on black, tailoring that cost more than her yearly salary. And his eyes. Dark, unreadable, cataloging every desperate breath she took. Please, Lauren whispered, hating how small her voice sounded. I made a mistake. Just let me out. I won't say anything, I swear. You'll just what? His voice cut through her panic like a blade. Low. Smooth. Laced with something that made her skin prickle. Run back to the man you were fleeing from? The one whose hands left those bruises. Her breath caught. How did he? His gaze dropped to her wrists, where faint purple marks peeked from beneath her sleeves. Marks she tried to hide. Marks she thought no one noticed. I saw you in the alley, he continued, tilting his head, studying her like a collector appraising a rare acquisition. Running like your life depended on it. It did, didn't it? Her mouth opened. No words came. He leaned forward until the space between them felt suffocating. You entered the wrong car to escape your ex, little bird. His lips curved. Not quite a smile, something far more dangerous. But you're in my car now. Let me out. Her hand pulled uselessly at the handle. His expression didn't change. He reached forward, almost casual, and tapped the dashboard. The partition between front and back seats began to rise with a mechanical whisper. You are not leaving. The partition sealed with a hiss. Through the tinted divider, she watched his silhouette straighten, hands returning to the wheel. The partition sealed with a hiss, and Lauren's old life disappeared with it. If you want to see how a captive becomes a queen, hit subscribe. This story doesn't slow down. The engine roared back to life, and they plunged into the neon-lit chaos of Seoul. But this time, Lauren knew exactly what kind of cage she was in. The car exploded back into motion. Lauren was thrown against the seat as they shot out of the underpass, the engine screaming. The partition was a wall of tinted glass between her and the driver, trapping her in the back seat like cargo. She pounded her fist against it once, twice. Nothing. Soundproof. She twisted to look out the rear window, searching for anything, a landmark, a street sign, a way to remember where she was. But Seoul's nighttime streets were a chaotic blur of neon and glass, buildings stacked like dominoes she couldn't read. Then she saw them. 2 sets of headlights. Close. Too close. Weaving through traffic with the same reckless precision as the BMW. Not police. Police had sirens, flashing lights, protocol. These were predators. Lauren's pulse spiked. She pressed her face to the glass, watching as one of the vehicles, a black SUV, surged forward, trying to pull alongside them. The BMW swerved hard left, cutting across 2 lanes. Horns blared. A taxi missed them by inches. Stop! Lauren screamed at the partition, knowing he couldn't hear her. Or wouldn't. Just stop and let me out. The SUV accelerated, closing the gap again. Then the rear window rolled down. Lauren's breath stopped. A figure leaned out, dark clothes, face obscured, raising something long and metallic. She didn't have time to process what it was before the first muzzle flash lit up the night. The rear windshield spiderwebbed with a deafening crack. Lauren threw herself to the floor, her scream trapped in her throat as glass rained down on the seat where her head had just been. Another shot. Another. The bullets punched through metal and leather with sickening precision. This wasn't a chase. This was an execution. The BMW jerked violently to the right, tires shrieking as they mounted a curb and tore through a narrow side street. Market stalls exploded in their wake, wood and fabric and fruit scattering like shrapnel. The SUV followed, relentless. Lauren's hands were shaking so hard she could barely grip the grab handle. Her mind was screaming a single, horrifying truth. She wasn't just trapped with a dangerous man. She was trapped in a war. Another flash from behind. This time the bullet punched through the trunk, the sound like a thunderclap inside the car. Lauren pressed herself into the footwell, arms over her head, her breath coming in jagged sobs. Through the partition, she could see his silhouette, perfectly still, hands steady on the wheel, navigating the chaos like he'd done this 1,000 times before. No panic. No fear. Just cold, calculated control. He wasn't running from a threat. He was the threat. And whoever was shooting at them wanted him dead badly enough to kill anyone in the way. The BMW took a corner, so sharp Lauren's body slammed into the door. She tasted blood where she'd bitten her tongue. The gunfire stopped. Maybe they'd lost them. Maybe they were reloading. But the silence was worse. Because now she understood. Her ex wasn't the monster anymore. He was a footnote. A ghost compared to the war she'd just stumbled into. And the man behind the partition? He wasn't going to let her go. He couldn't. Because now, they'd seen her too. The car finally stopped in an underground garage so pristine it looked like a showroom. Concrete pillars. Security cameras. Silence. The partition lowered with a mechanical hum, and Lauren scrambled backward as the driver's door opened. He stepped out, adjusting his cuffs like they hadn't just been shot at. Like this was Tuesday. Her door opened before she could lock it. Out. His voice was calm. A command, not a request. Lauren pressed herself against the opposite door. No. He leaned down, his frame filling the doorway, and extended his hand. You can walk, or I can carry you. Choose. She didn't take his hand. But she got out, legs shaking, because staying in a bullet-riddled car felt more dangerous than facing him. The garage smelled like expensive cars and cold concrete. Exit signs glowed in the distance, but two men in black suits materialized near the elevator, blocking any escape route. This way. He placed a hand on the small of her back, light, but possessive, and guided her toward a private elevator. She jerked away from his touch. Don't. Her voice cracked. He pressed the button. The doors opened immediately. In. The ride up was silent except for her ragged breathing. The elevator was glass and chrome, and she watched the floors tick upward, 10, 20, 30, until the numbers stopped at the penthouse. The doors opened directly into his apartment. Lauren stepped out, and her breath caught despite everything. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased Seoul's skyline like a glittering empire. Modern art on the walls. Furniture that belonged in magazines. Marble floors that reflected the city lights. It was beautiful. It was a cage. Please. She turned to face him, desperation sharpening her voice. I won't tell anyone. I don't even know what I saw. Just let me go. I'll leave Seoul. I'll disappear. You'll never what? He closed the distance between them, slow and deliberate. Disappear? You don't have the resources. Talk. You already saw the men shooting at my car. You saw their faces through the rear window. I didn't see anything. The lie burned her throat. His expression didn't change. He reached into his jacket and Lauren flinched, but he only pulled out his phone. He tapped the screen and turned it toward her. A photo. Grainy, taken from a distance. Lauren's face pressed against the rear window of his BMW, illuminated by streetlights and muzzle flash. Clear. Unmistakable. They took this 30 seconds before the first shot, he said quietly. Which means they know you were in my car during an active hit. They'll assume you're either leverage or an asset. Her knees went weak. I'm neither. I'm nobody. You were nobody. He pocketed the phone. Now you're the woman who was in Joon Woo's car during a black dagger ambush. That makes you a target. Joon Woo, she whispered. A name. Finally. Head of the Seoul syndicate. His eyes locked on hers. And the only reason you're still alive. Lauren's hands curled into fists. So what? You're keeping me prisoner? For how long? Until the threat is neutralized. He moved past her toward the windows, hands in his pockets, surveying his kingdom. Or until you're no longer useful. The elevator doors closed behind her with a soft chime. Lauren realized, with creeping horror, that he hadn't pressed the button. It had locked automatically. Lauren spent the first hour testing every window, every door, every possible exit. All locked. All monitored. The penthouse was a fortress disguised as luxury. She was staring at the Seoul skyline, trying to calculate if she could break the glass, when she heard his footsteps behind her. Sit. Joon Woo gestured to the leather sofa. She didn't move. I'm not a dog. No. You're a liability. He held up his phone. And liabilities need to be managed. Sit down, Lauren. Her name on his lips made her skin crawl. She hadn't told him her name. He saw her expression and almost smiled. Your ID was in your blazer pocket. Lauren Marie Stokes. 28. American. Work visa. Employed at Hansen Analytics. Apartment in Itaewon. Emergency contact. Your mother in Chicago. He tilted his head. Relationship status. Engaged. Until 3 days ago. Her blood went cold. How? Sit. Down. This time she did. Not because he asked, but because her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. Joon Woo sat across from her, setting his phone on the coffee table between them. He opened the camera app and angled it toward her. You're going to record a video. Short. Coherent. You'll say you're taking time away to clear your head after your breakup. That you're staying with a friend. That you're safe, and you'll reach out when you're ready. Lauren stared at him. No. Your ex, Marcus Chun, has a history of filing reports when things don't go his way. Noise complaints against you. A stolen property claim you had to fight. He's the type to call the police the moment you don't answer his messages. Her chest tightened. You have no right. I have every right to protect my organization. His voice remained calm, clinical. A missing person report triggers investigations. Investigations mean attention. Attention means risk. You will record this video, and I will send it from your phone to your mother and your closest friend, Emily Vasquez. The message will buy us time. I won't. Her voice shook. You can't make me. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes locked on hers. Lauren, the black daggers have your face. If the police start looking for you, if your ex files a report, if your name hits any database, they'll find you within hours. And they won't be as hospitable as I am. She wanted to scream that hospitality wasn't captivity, that he was insane. But the photo on his phone, the one of her face in his car, flashed in her memory. This video keeps you off the radar, he continued. It keeps you alive. Now read this. He handed her his phone with a script typed on the screen. Her hands trembled as she took it. The words were hers, casual, natural, the kind of message she'd actually send. He'd studied her, prepared for this. She looked up at him. And if I refuse, then I make the call myself. But my version will be less convincing. His expression didn't change. And when the police come looking, they'll find nothing. Except maybe you won't be here anymore to clarify. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Lauren lifted the phone, hands shaking, and pressed record. Lauren had just finished the video, 3 takes until her voice stopped shaking enough to sound normal when the elevator chimed. She looked up, hope flaring for a split second. Someone else. Witnesses. A way out. One of the suited men from the garage stepped out, carrying a small package wrapped in brown paper. No markings. No postage. He handed it to Joon Woo without a word and left. Joon Woo stood, examining the package with the clinical detachment of someone reading a grocery list. He set it on the coffee table between them. Don't open that here, one of his men said from the elevator before the doors closed. He ignored the warning. His fingers found the edges of the paper and pulled. The smell hit Lauren first. Copper and rot. Her stomach lurched. Inside the package was a small black box. Joon Woo lifted the lid. Lauren saw the contents for less than a second before she turned away, bile rising in her throat. A finger, severed cleanly at the knuckle, the skin pale and bloodless. A gold ring still circled the base. One of yours. A voice crackled from Joon Woo's phone on the table. He'd put someone on speaker. Min Jae. Joon Woo's voice was flat. He was running the Southside shipment. Lauren pressed her hand to her mouth, trying not to vomit. This was real. This was happening. Joon Woo pulled a note from beneath the severed finger, unfolding it with steady hands. His eyes scanned the text, and for the first time since she'd met him, something flickered in his expression. Not fear. Calculation. He turned the note toward her. The message was written in English. For her benefit. We know about your stolen cargo. The woman in your back seat. Return what you took from us, and we'll discuss returning her, piece by piece. You have 48 hours. Black daggers. Lauren's vision blurred at the edges. What did you take from them? Nothing. Joon Woo set the note down, his jaw tight. Which means this isn't about recovering stolen property. It's about leverage. I'm not cargo, she whispered, but the words felt hollow. She was exactly that now. He pulled out his phone and typed a message. Within seconds, footsteps approached from the hallway. 2 more guards appeared, different from before, larger, armed with visible holsters beneath their jackets. She doesn't leave this floor, Joon Woo said without looking at them. No one in or out without my authorization. Run a full sweep. If they know she's here, they may already have eyes on the building. The men nodded and dispersed. Lauren stood, her legs barely supporting her. They think I'm what? A hostage you took on purpose? Yes. He closed the box, the soft click of the lid unnaturally loud. Then tell them the truth. Tell them I got in your car by mistake. Joon Woo finally looked at her, and the coldness in his eyes made her breath catch. The black daggers don't care about truth. They care about weakness. And the moment I explain, the moment I justify, I show them I value your life. You don't. It wasn't a question. His silence was answer enough. But they think I do, he continued, pocketing the note. Which makes you the most valuable piece on the board. Lauren sank back onto the sofa, her whole body shaking. 48 hours. 2 days before they started sending pieces of her to prove a point. She wasn't just trapped anymore. She was bait. The guards swept the penthouse for 2 hours. Lauren sat on the sofa, numb, while they checked vents, windows, and devices she didn't know existed. When they finally left, the silence felt heavier than before. Joon Woo poured himself a drink. Whiskey, amber, and expensive, and stood by the windows, his back to her. The Seoul Syndicate controls 70% of this city's underground, he said, his voice even. Shipping, information, protection. We have rules. No civilian casualties. No unnecessary exposure. No loose ends. Lauren's throat tightened. I'm a loose end. You should be. He took a slow sip. By every operational standard, I should have put you out of the car the moment we left the underpass. Then why didn't you? The question tore out of her, louder than she intended. Why keep me? Why not just? She couldn't finish the sentence. He turned, finally, his eyes meeting hers across the room. Because I saw you before you got into my car. Her breath caught. What? 40 minutes before you opened that door, I was parked 2 blocks from your ex's building, waiting for a contact who was late. He set the glass down, his gaze steady and unreadable. I saw you leave. Saw him follow you into the alley. Lauren's chest constricted. Marcus. The alley. The moment she'd run. You fought him. Joon Woo continued, stepping closer. He grabbed your arm, tried to pull you back. You didn't scream. Didn't beg. You twisted free and ran. No hesitation. Just survival. She remembered. The grip on her wrist. The smell of his cologne. The cold clarity that had flooded her veins when she realized he wasn't going to let her leave quietly. Most people freeze, Joon Woo said quietly. They negotiate. They hope for mercy. His eyes narrowed. You didn't. So what? Lauren's voice shook. You were impressed? You thought you'd collect me like some interesting stray? I thought you were wasted on him. He stopped a few feet away, hands in his pockets, studying her the way he had in the car. And when you opened my door, panicked and desperate, I saw an opportunity. For what? To see if that fight in you was real. Or just adrenaline. Lauren stood, anger cutting through her fear. This isn't a test. This is my life. Your life was already forfeit the moment he put his hands on you. Joon Woo's voice hardened. Men like Marcus Chin don't stop. They escalate. You knew that, or you wouldn't have run. She wanted to deny it. Couldn't. And now, his expression didn't change. Your life is forfeit outside these walls because the black daggers think you're mine. Which means the only place you're safe is here. With me. That's not safety, Lauren whispered. That's ownership. In my world, they're the same thing. The words hung between them, brutal and honest. Lauren's hands curled into fists. You should have let me out. You should have. I don't do what I should. He stepped closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head to meet his eyes. I do what I want. And I wanted to see what you'd become when survival wasn't enough anymore. Her heart hammered. And what's that? His lips curved, barely. Something dangerous. Lauren didn't sleep. She spent the night pacing the guest room Joon Woo had assigned her. Another cage with luxury sheets and a door that locked from the outside. When dawn broke over Seoul's skyline, she'd made a decision. She found him in his office, seated behind a minimalist desk with 3 monitors displaying security feeds, financial charts, and maps she didn't understand. He didn't look up when she entered. If I'm bait, Lauren said, her voice steadier than she felt, then I'm already dead. They'll come for me, or you'll decide I'm not worth the risk. Either way, I lose. Joon Woo's fingers paused on his keyboard. You're finally thinking clearly. So give me another option. He leaned back in his chair, studying her with that same appraising look. There isn't one. Then make one. She stepped closer to the desk, forcing herself not to flinch under his gaze. You said you saw something in me. Prove it wasn't just boredom. A long silence stretched between them. Then he stood, moving around the desk with predatory grace. You want to negotiate? I want to survive. Lauren lifted her chin. And if the only way to do that is through you, then let's stop pretending this is a kidnapping and call it what it really is. And what's that? A partnership. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Interest. You have nothing to offer me. I have me. The words came out stronger than she expected. I know how men like my ex think. I know how to read people, how to make them underestimate me. I've spent 3 years surviving Marcus. You think I don't know how to play a role? Joon Woo tilted his head. You want to work for me. I want to stay alive, she corrected. And if that means becoming valuable enough that the Black Daggers can't use me against you, then that's what I'll do. He circled her slowly, like a shark assessing prey. The moment you agree to this, there's no going back. You won't be a victim anymore. You'll be complicit. I became complicit the second I got in your car. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she could see the calculation in his dark eyes. If you stay, you follow my rules. You go where I tell you. You do what I say. And when the Black Daggers come, and they will, you don't run. You fight. Lauren's pulse hammered, but she held his gaze. What do I get in return? Protection. From the Daggers. From your ex. From anyone who thinks you're an easy target. His voice dropped. And when this is over, if you survive, you walk away with your life and enough money to disappear properly. And if I don't survive, then it won't matter what we agreed to. She should have been terrified. Should have been screaming, running, doing anything but standing here negotiating with a crime lord. But the panic that had consumed her in the car was gone, burned away by something colder. Clarity. Lauren extended her hand. Deal. Joon Woo looked at her outstretched hand, then back at her face. Slowly, he took it, his grip firm and warm. Welcome to the syndicate, little bird. 3 days into her new arrangement, Joon Woo decided she needed to move. The penthouse is compromised, he said, handing her a jacket. We're relocating to a safe house across the city. Lauren didn't argue. She'd learned to read the tension in his shoulders, the clipped efficiency in his voice. This wasn't a drill. The convoy was 3 vehicles, 2 black SUVs flanking Joon Woo's sedan. Lauren sat beside him in the back, watching the city pass through bulletproof glass. His guards drove in formation, professional and alert. Too alert. Something's wrong, she said quietly. Joon Woo's eyes flicked to her. What makes you say that? The blue sedan. For cars back. It's been with us since we left the garage. She'd spent 3 years tracking Marcus's patterns, learning to spot when she was being followed. Old habits died hard. Joon Woo looked through the rear window, his expression hardening. He pulled out his phone and spoke rapidly in Korean. The lead SUV suddenly accelerated, attempting to break formation and draw out the tail. The blue sedan didn't follow the lead vehicle. It stayed with them. Gun, Joon Woo said to his driver, his voice deadly calm. The driver's hand moved toward the console, but he never reached it. The blue sedan rammed them from behind, and simultaneously, a panel truck cut them off from the front. The convoy screeched to a halt, boxed in on a narrow street with construction scaffolding on both sides. No witnesses. No escape routes. Trap. The doors of the panel truck flew open, and men poured out. 6, maybe 8, weapons raised. The rear SUV tried to reverse, but another vehicle had already blocked them in. Down. Joon Woo shoved Lauren to the floor as the first shots shattered the side windows. Safety glass held, spider webbing, but not breaking. His driver returned fire through the gap, the sound deafening inside the car. Lauren's ears rang, her heart slamming against her ribs. This was different from the chase. This was coordinated. Planned. The scaffolding, she gasped, looking up at Joon Woo. Left side. It's blocking their angle. They can't surround us from that direction. His eyes locked on hers for a split second, then he barked orders in Korean. His driver immediately reversed hard, scraping against the scaffolding until they were pressed against it, protecting their left flank. The attackers adjusted, concentrating fire on the exposed right side, but it bought them seconds. Joon Woo's guards from the rear SUV used the opening, advancing under cover and returning precise, controlled shots. The construction site, Lawrence said, her mind racing past the panic. Behind the scaffolding. There's a gap. I saw it when we turned the corner. Pedestrian access. Joon Woo grabbed his radio. East side. Pedestrian gap. Suppress and move. His men responded instantly, laying down covering fire. 2 of them broke from the rear vehicle, pulling open Joon Woo's door. He grabbed Lauren's arm and hauled her out, keeping her low as they ran. Bullets sparked off metal behind them. Someone screamed. But they didn't stop. They hit the gap in the scaffolding, squeezing through into the construction site beyond. Unfinished concrete and rebar, but it opened onto a parallel street. A clean getaway. Joon Woo pulled her into an idling car his men had already commandeered, and they vanished into Seoul's traffic. Only when they were 6 blocks away did he look at her, something new in his expression. Respect. You might actually survive this, he said. Lauren's hands were still shaking, but her voice was steady. I intend to. The safe house was a stark contrast to the penthouse, industrial, stripped down, functional. No art. No floor-to-ceiling windows. Just reinforced walls, and a single exit Joon Woo's men had already secured. Lauren sat on a metal chair, staring at her hands. They'd stopped shaking, but she could still feel the ghost of adrenaline coursing through her veins. Still hear the gunfire. Still see the moment she'd spotted the scaffolding gap that had saved their lives. She'd done that. Not him. Her. Joon Woo was across the room, speaking in rapid Korean on his phone. His jacket was gone, his white shirt streaked with dust, and a thin line of blood on his collar. Not his, she didn't think. He looked like war incarnate, and he was planning the next move before the current one had even finished echoing. When he finally hung up, the silence stretched between them. They tracked us through a device planted in the lead vehicle, he said, his voice flat. Someone inside my organization gave them access. Lauren looked up. A traitor. Yes. His jaw tightened. Which means this doesn't end until I cut out the rot. She stood slowly, her legs steady beneath her. They tried to kill me today. They tried to kill both of us. No. She shook her head, something cold and sharp crystallizing in her chest. They tried to kill you. I was just the excuse. The bait they thought would make you vulnerable. She stepped closer. But I didn't make you weak, did I? His eyes locked on hers. No. I made you faster. Smarter. Her voice was steady, certain. You wouldn't have seen that gap without me. Your men wouldn't have moved in time. No, he agreed quietly. They wouldn't have. Lauren took a breath, feeling the weight of what she was about to say. 3 days ago, she'd been a woman running from one monster. Now she was standing in front of another, and she wasn't running anymore. I could leave, she said. You'd let me go now. I proved I'm not just dead weight. Joon Woo didn't deny it. The deal was you survive, you walk away. And go where? She laughed, bitter and raw. Back to my apartment? Back to Marcus? Back to being the woman who runs. She shook her head. They saw my face. They know I helped you escape. The black daggers won't stop because you let me go. No, he said. They won't. She stepped closer until they were a breath apart. Then let's finish this. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. You understand what that means. I understand I'm done being prey. Her voice dropped to a whisper, but it was steel. I'm done running. I'm done letting men decide whether I live or die. She met his eyes. So let's make them regret ever using me as bait. Joon Woo studied her for a long moment, and then slowly, deliberately, He extended his hand. Not to shake. To partner. Lauren took it. He pulled her to the table where a map of Seoul was already spread out, marked with locations and names. His men gathered around, and for the first time, no one questioned her presence. Here, Joon Woo said, pointing to a warehouse district. This is where they operate from. Lauren leaned over the map, her shoulder brushing his. Then that's where we go. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But in Seoul's underworld, it's served bloody. Subscribe for the next chapter. This story isn't over. Not by a long shot.